In the 1970s, poverty wasn't about signs hung on doors or loud complaints. It seeped into every small detail of life. Did your family ever cover the sofa in plastic? Have government-issued meals with watered-down ketchup? Or make curtains out of old bath towels? People didn't say it aloud, but everyone implicitly understood and everyone saw it. So, what were the subtle signs that implicitly showed you belonged to a different class, even when no one spoke of it? Let's explore them now. Powdered milk. Memories of powdered milk are often associated with hurried mornings when children yawned and reluctantly swallowed sips of strange-tasting milk. Dads would frown, while moms would firmly reassure, "It tastes exactly like fresh milk." But deep down, everyone knew that wasn't true. That was powdered milk, the kind provided by the government in assistance programs, a milky white powder mixed with water and carefully stored in tin cans or rough paper bags. It had a peculiar aftertaste, like wet chalk mixed with a hint of milk, a flavor that even adults grimaced at. But anyway, it filled a bowl, providing a full stomach for the new day. One person shared that after their father passed away, powdered milk became the main drink at home, and having a proper glass of fresh milk was an unimaginable luxury. It wasn't just milk. It was a symbol of scarcity, of a time when the simplest joys became a distant dream. The reason powdered milk became so popular was that it was an essential government aid solution. Cheap, long-lasting, and always available in the pantries of struggling families. Nowadays, with fresh milk being much more accessible and affordable, powdered milk has become less common in daily life. Do you remember how it felt to drink powdered milk back then? Please share your memories. TV antennas with pliers. Have you ever experienced wanting to watch your favorite show but struggling with an old bulky TV? Large, heavy, with shiny wood paneling and two shaky antennas. The channel knob was flimsy, and when it broke, pliers became the magic wand. Changing channels was no longer a simple click, but a ritual. You had to turn the pliers millimeter by millimeter, listen to the static, and wait for the image to stabilize. TV signals back then were very sensitive, easily disrupted if someone walked past the antenna, forcing everyone in the room to stay still, not daring to move. I remember back then, to catch two local stations, they even had to use coat hangers as antennas, a testament to the boundless creativity of poor families. The main reason pliers became best friends with antennas was because families couldn't afford replacements or repairmen when the knob broke. Repairing a TV back then was a major expense that not everyone could bear. Some households had complex antenna balancing rituals. 1 foot raised, arm extended, holding a metal spoon while standing near the window. Others just wrapped the whole thing in aluminum foil and hoped for the best. When the ketchup bottle was almost empty, what would you do? Throw it away and buy a new one? No, that wasn't the way of the 70s. Many families would perform an act of culinary desperation, diluting ketchup with water to extend the almost empty bottle. The result was a thin, slightly pink mixture that tasted like diluted childhood. Parents called this making the bottle last, and every ketchup bottle was used down to the last drop. Although some users admitted it was disgusting, it was an effective way to save money when funds were tight. The ketchup bottle could last for a few more meals, and that was a small victory in the family budget war. Today, ketchup is a cheap and easily purchased item, making dilution unnecessary. However, the story of watered-down ketchup remains a reminder of human resourcefulness and adaptability in difficult circumstances. It also shows that sometimes seemingly horrific solutions are ways to sustain daily life. Government cheese. Government cheese was the clearest symbol of frugality during tough times. For many American families in the 70s, 80s, having those dense orange blocks of cheese in the house meant you were living on government food assistance programs. It didn't have the luxury or appealing taste advertised on TV. It was too tough when cold, nuclear hot when melted, and somehow still the MVP of 1,000 meals. People sliced it for sandwiches, melted it over leftovers, or simply ate it to fill their stomachs. Kids brought cheese sandwiches to school, heavy in their backpacks, and no one complained, because it was lunch that ensured they wouldn't go hungry. Back then, government cheese was popular not because it tasted good, but because it helped stretch already tight food budgets. In a context where simplicity was a luxury, each block of cheese was like a medal for survival. And although today's assistance programs are more diverse, the memory of this cheese remains, a reminder of a period where sustenance was more important than any flavor. Liver and onions. Liver and onions, a not so appetizing but incredibly familiar dinner in poor households in the 70s. When the strong smell of beef liver mingled with the sizzling of fat, the whole family knew a dinner table battle was about to begin. For many kids, the liver was always tough, dry, and chewy like rubber. Yet, the familiar parental reminder echoed, "Eat it, it's good for you," leaving them no escape. Some mischievous children found ways to hide the liver in napkins or secretly drop it to the dog under the table. And yet, ironically, the memory of that liver and onions dish is deeply etched in their minds. Some remember it as a Thursday night sentence, while others see it as the taste of childhood. And surprisingly, some still consider it a favorite dish, associated with a sense of safety and family togetherness from the past. This dish made many appreciate peanut butter more than most people ever did, because escaping the liver was a relief. Toughskins Jeans. Do you remember the jeans you utterly hated? Those were Sears Toughskins Jeans, a classic masterpiece of the 70s, designed with incredible durability. They were made from a denim polyester blend, not just stiff and rough, but also in strange colors, sometimes terracotta, earthy brown, or grayish blue hues you couldn't find anywhere else. Specifically, the knees of Toughskins were reinforced extremely well, to the point some joked they could stand on their own. Kids back then hated Toughskins because they made you walk like a robot, every step heavy and uncomfortable. The rough fabric rubbed thighs like sandpaper, causing itching and discomfort all day long. But for parents, they were a treasure. With the slogan, "They never wear out," these pants truly never wore out. They were so durable, they were often passed down from older to younger siblings, carrying the imprint of generations. Many users confirmed that Toughskins were the most popular pants in families with young children at that time. Coffee can of bacon grease. Remember that old dented coffee can sitting right by the stove? Not for making coffee, but a shimmering treasure of bacon grease, the secret ingredient every poor American kid in the 70s knew about. That can held the essence of 100 breakfasts. Every time bacon was fried, the grease was poured into it, forming a thick, fragrant layer of fat. This bacon grease wasn't just for looking at. It was thoroughly reused. People used it to fry eggs for extra richness, crisp potatoes, or even give pancakes a distinctive flavor. Many also had the habit of dipping bread into this grease, enjoying the rich aromatic taste. The grease was reused so much it almost developed a personality of its own, carrying the flavor of many delicious meals. It might sound strange, but it was an indispensable part of daily life. In the 70s, wasting nothing was a rule of life. Currently, due to health concerns and the popularity of cheap vegetable oils, the recycling of animal fats has decreased. But for those who witnessed and used this special seasoning can, it's a warm memory of kitchen creativity in poverty. Do you think we should relearn this habit to be more economical? Bath towels as curtains. Bath towels hanging on windows were never about aesthetics. It was simply a way to survive. When you needed to block sunlight, keep a bit of warmth, or simply wanted some privacy, the old towel in the house immediately became an impromptu curtain, not a brand new towel, usually one with frayed edges, bleached spots, sometimes even faded colors. You attached it with clothespins, safety pins, or even rubber bands tied to coat hangers to make a rod. They were rarely coordinated, a flamboyant beach towel on one window, a faded hotel towel on another, plus an old bed sheet to block the cold. They all fluttered in the wind, sagged in the middle of the frame, and carried a faint, musty smell, but they did their job. In summer, they blocked the sun. In winter, they kept in the heat. Real curtains were too much of a luxury, and these were free. When guests came, you'd smile and say you were redecorating, but in reality, those makeshift curtains had been hanging quietly for years, and if they were ever taken down, it was rarely for washing, usually just to be turned into an overnight blanket. Hand-me-down and patched clothes. Clothes back then, if your family wasn't well off, were usually inherited from cousins or relatives. Hand-me-down clothes often showed signs of wear, strange stains that were hard to wash out, and shoes that were usually 2 sizes off your feet. This was a common reality in many poor families in the 70s. When clothes started to fray, especially at the knees, instead of throwing them away and buying new ones, parents would patiently sew patches on them. It wasn't just a way to save money on new clothes, but also an art of utilizing and reusing. Children learned to accept and say, "Thank you." Sometimes they had to learn to avoid teasing at school, or simply bow their heads when friends noticed. What's surprising is that many people didn't even know they were poor, because we were like everyone else in the neighborhood, a testament to how community solidarity and sharing helped them overcome difficulties. Plastic sofa covers. Recall the living rooms of the 70s. If your family had a nice sofa set, it was likely covered in a clear plastic slipcover. Every time you sat down, it would emit a distinctive squeak, shift, squeak sound. In hot summers, this was truly a nightmare. Your thighs would stick to the plastic like melted fruit candy. Every night of TV watching turned into a sweaty endurance test, causing back pain, sweaty feet, and leaving uncomfortable plastic marks. But why endure it? Simply because the main purpose of the plastic cover was to protect expensive furniture from damage, extending its lifespan. Sofas were not easily replaced, so preserving them was extremely important for families on a tight budget. Currently, upholstery fabrics are much more durable and easier to clean, making plastic covers obsolete. But the memory of the shiny, uncomfortable plastic-covered sofa, a symbol of valuing possessions and striving to keep everything in the house in the best possible condition, remains deeply ingrained in many people's minds. Ice milk. There was a dessert that once made countless 70s kids eagerly anticipate, only to be disappointed at the first spoonful. It looked like ice cream, scooped like ice cream, but it wasn't ice cream. It was ice milk. Ice milk was a frozen dessert with a light, quickly melting texture and a flavor of something like diluted disappointment. Visually appealing, yes, but when tasted, it was nothing more than a fake ice cream version of childhood. Often served in old cups or reused butter containers, ice milk was a treat no one dared to waste. One person reminisced, "Ice cream back then was 10 times better than now," implying that even ice milk, in memory, had its own unique deliciousness. It was the cheap option for families who couldn't afford real ice cream. In an era when ice cream was still a luxury, ice milk was the only way for kids to enjoy a little sweetness. Today, ice cream has become common and affordable, but for many, the memory of ice milk is still a testament to simple joys and small disappointments of a difficult childhood. Off-brand cereal. When other kids could eat colorful cereals with cute mascots and prizes, many kids in the 70s grew up with off-brand cereal. This was cheap cereal, often sold in large plastic bags, Without any eye-catching images, it might look like Fruit Loops, but the taste was humorously described as cardboard hope. What was worse was that when milk was poured in, this type of cereal would quickly get soggy and lose all its crunch. If children complained, they would be told to add more sugar and be grateful that they at least had breakfast. Similar to off-brand potato chips, often sold 2 bags per box but full of air, these cereals simply helped families fill their stomachs at the lowest cost. Currently, the cereal market has boomed with countless brands, much better quality and flavors at very affordable prices. The younger generation today probably can't imagine the feeling of that bowl of cardboard hope. But for the 70s generation, it was part of their childhood experience, teaching them to appreciate every simple grain of cereal. Thermostat Wars. In the 70s, poverty was sometimes measured by a thermostat knob in the house. There might have been a note taped right on it. Do not touch unless you pay the bill. That was the thermostat war, a silent but incredibly tense battle in poor families in the 70s. Instead of turning on the heater when it was cold, kids were told to wear more sweaters, burrow under blankets, or even sit pressed against the dog to stay warm. Touching the heater was considered weak, wasteful, or extremely spoiled. Imagine fingers numb as ice pops, morning breath rising in small clouds. The cold seeping into bones was not just physical pain, but also a bitter lesson in frugality and endurance. The true purpose was clear: keep energy bills as low as possible. For poor families, every penny had to be considered. Now, more efficient heating and cooling technologies have eased that extremism, but the memory of the thermostat war still reminds us that it wasn't just about room temperature. It was a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the value of warmth we sometimes take for granted. Day-old bread, day-old discounted bread was a familiar sign of economical times. They were only slightly less soft than fresh bread, but became a clever strategy for homemakers to stretch the family budget. Finding a name brand loaf at a reduced price was nothing short of a bargain, both practical and gratifying. No one considered it inferior quality, but rather a testament to a culture, keeping the pantry stocked without spending an unnecessary penny. Homemakers of that decade used to say, "Bread is made from ground grains, so utilizing it is normal." Buying discounted bread, in fact, was a small symbol of the spirit of frugality and family pride during difficult years. Dinner from a can. Do you remember dinners opened from a tin can, heated quickly, and eaten right in front of the TV? That was dinner from a can, a convenient, quick, and relatively cheap solution when parents were busy. Popular dishes included creamed corn, canned ravioli, or mystery meat. The smell of aluminum and artificial sauce often filled the room, creating a characteristic aroma of dinner from a can. Even if the corn tasted metallic or the peas were clumpy, this was still considered high living, a luxury, and even a 5-star meal in a tin can for kids. Most nights, people would pour watered-down ketchup over everything and call it a small victory. No one complained, just grab the can opener, dump the food into a pot, and call it a meal. These meals became popular because they were quick, cheap, and long-lasting. In a time when many families had to live on a tight budget, having these convenient meals readily available was incredibly important. Canned food still exists today, but the variety of processed food options has replaced dinner from a can. However, the memory of dinner from a can remains a reminder of human convenience and adaptability in difficult circumstances, and also a symbol of simple joys in childhood. One-Ply toilet paper. Thin, rough toilet paper, sometimes with tiny wood fragments. Anyone who experienced it surely remembers it as One-Ply toilet paper. It was cheap, a budget option, and often came with the store's own brand. To use it effectively, one had to fold it carefully, even using double the amount of paper to get half the job done. No one found it strange or inferior simply because there were no other options. It wasn't just about toilet paper. It was a testament to frugality, to how people learned to adapt and make the most of what they had. One-Ply toilet paper was a way to cut essential living costs. In a time when every penny had to be carefully considered, choosing the cheapest products was necessary. Nowadays, multi-ply toilet paper has become the standard and is more affordable. However, the memory of one-ply toilet paper remains a reminder of human frugality and adaptability in difficult circumstances. It shows that sometimes the smallest things in life can say a lot about one's situation. Peanut butter sandwiches at school. When there was no lunch money or no packed meal from home, school-provided peanut butter sandwiches were often the basic lunch for many students in the 70s. This sandwich was described as dry and basic, sometimes only accompanied by a carton of milk. One user remembered peanut butter sandwiches as a staple, while another dreamed of peanut butter when they had to eat Bologna sandwiches. Although not what children expected or loved, it was better than going hungry. Most children didn't complain, just quietly ate and went on with their day. This was the school's solution to ensure students weren't hungry and had enough energy to study. It showed the community's concern for those in difficult situations. Today, free or reduced price lunch programs at school are much more diverse and nutritious, with more options for students. The simple peanut butter sandwich remains a memory of childhood lunch, a reminder of the simplicity and support they received. Sharing a twin bed. In many large families in the 70s, 2 children sharing a twin bed was common practice. The mattress was often sunken in the middle, and the blankets were never enough for both. Kids whispered secrets under the blankets, argued over covers, and negotiated every millimeter of elbow room. The bed often creaked, but it was considered to have shared love and nightly negotiations. One user remembered sharing a bed with their 2 brothers, creating unforgettable memories. Sharing a twin bed was due to a lack of space and money to buy more beds or separate furniture. In a tight economic context, optimizing living space was essential. Today, many families are better able to provide separate rooms, but sharing rooms beds can still occur in large families. However, the memory of sharing a twin bed remains a reminder of family love and human adaptability in difficult circumstances. It shows that sometimes closeness is the most important thing. Rotary phones with frayed cords. The rotary phone with its twisted frayed cord was the communication heartbeat of the 70s, and a lesson in patience that the whole family had to endure. It was heavy, often sporting a beige or avocado green casing resting neatly on a table that doubled as the family filing cabinet. The cord was no longer straight, twisted tightly like a grumpy slinky, plastic peeling to reveal the copper core. If you held it at the wrong angle, you might get a mild electric shock, or worse, the speaker would go silent. Each time you dialed was a finger exercise. Place your finger in the hole, rotate it all the way. Listen to the click-clack as it slowly returned to its original position. And frustratingly, if the phone number had many 9s or 0s, calling was nothing short of a workout. And don't even think about making a mistake midway. That meant starting all over again. During that period, owning a phone was a luxury, and preserving it was essential. Currently, rotary phones have been completely replaced by push-button and mobile phones. However, the memory of rotary phones with frayed cords remains a reminder of technological progress and human adaptability in difficult circumstances. If these memories brought a smile to your face, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more nostalgic journeys ahead. Bologna Sandwiches. Bologna sandwiches were a common lunch for many poor children in the 70s, often just bologna between two slices of white bread, perhaps with a bit of mustard or mayonnaise. This dish could be as dry as a desert, chewy, or paper-thin. The bologna edges often curled after frying. The bread would get soggy, but no one complained because it was food. Children often dreamed of peanut butter, a dish considered tastier. You probably remember fried bologna sandwiches as a staple, along with peanut butter and liver, or recall the moment Mom made hot dog sandwiches and bologna sandwiches. This was a quick, cheap, and filling meal because bologna was sold in large packages at a very affordable price. Today, bologna is still a popular cold cut, but the variety of lunch options has reduced the reliance on just one type of sandwich. However, the memory of bologna sandwiches remains a reminder of simplicity and human adaptability in difficult circumstances. Clothesline. Dryers used to be a luxury, but in the 70s, people didn't need them. Laundry day meant a backyard transformed into a bizarre fashion exhibit. Towels flapping, socks stiff as boards, jeans frozen solid like statues. In summer, the sun did its job. In winter, you just hoped the wind didn't blow your underwear to the neighbor's yard. Clotheslines crisscrossed the yard like spiderwebs, small clothespins becoming sentinels, holding on to a bit of dignity from being swept away by the wind. This job often took two people, one passing wet clothes, the other diligently clipping them on, feet muddy, hands numb. The air was thick with the smell of soap mixed with a cold metallic scent. When the wind picked up, socks never had a match. When it was cold, clothes would freeze before drying, turning jeans into tragically comical sculptures. But in all that hardship, there was still pride. Sheets dried outside, crisp, crackling as you slid into them, making sleep feel like lying under the open sky. One spin cycle, one gust of wind, that was the most economical dryer every family trusted. Paper grocery bags as backpacks. The paper grocery bag with two handles cut out, used as a temporary school backpack. That was a free and readily available solution when there was no money to buy a real backpack. Without zippers, compartments, or brands, this bag was easily torn, especially in the rain or when carrying heavy items. Children often reinforced the bags with tape or staples. If books were too heavy, the bottom of the bag would burst open in the hallway, leaving papers crumpled. Teachers were often understanding when students came to school with these bags. One user remembered using comic sections of the newspaper or brown grocery bags to wrap gifts. Paper grocery bags were a free and readily available solution when there was no money to buy a real backpack. Today, school backpacks have become very common, diverse in models and affordable, and paper bags are no longer used as backpacks. The memory of paper grocery bags as backpacks is a reminder of human resourcefulness and adaptability in difficult circumstances. Television dinners. Do you remember those frozen meals cooked in the oven and eaten in front of the TV, often served in compartmentalized trays? Those were television dinners, a luxury, but also a convenient, quick, and relatively cheap meal when parents were busy. They included Salisbury steak, watery mashed potatoes, mushy green beans, and a brownie. The smell of aluminum and artificial sauce filled the room, but for children, this was high living, luxury, a 5-star meal in a tin can. Even if the corn tasted metallic or the peas were clumpy, this was still considered a special experience. Television dinners were a luxury, but also a convenient, quick, and relatively cheap meal when parents were busy. Today, frozen meals still exist, but they are no longer the luxury symbol they once were. The memory of television dinners is a reminder of human convenience and adaptability in difficult circumstances. and also a symbol of simple joys in childhood. Holes in the car floorboards. Do you remember holes in your family car's floorboards, allowing you to see the road and feel the wind blowing inside? That was holes in the car floorboards, a feature of old cars. Wind whistled through the rusty corners. Rain turned the back seat into a splash zone. When it was cold, people had to wrap blankets around their ankles. Parents would often put a rubber mat down and call it fixed. This was a feature, a weather report, a legend of old cars. Cars were often old models, and there was no money to thoroughly repair the damages. Today, with stricter car safety standards and greater access to more reliable vehicles, holes in car floorboards are rarely seen. The memory of holes in car floorboards is a reminder of human resourcefulness and adaptability in difficult circumstances. Tang orange drink. Do you remember that artificial orange drink powder advertised as having vitamins with a bright orange color? That was Tang orange drink. The powder was mixed with tap water and stirred until foamy, creating a distinctive drink of the 70s. Although it didn't taste like real orange, it was sweet and cold. Tang stained upper lips and left a strange white film on teeth. Kids pretended to be NASA astronauts when drinking it because Tang was the beverage trusted by astronauts. Tang was a cheaper and more abundant alternative to real orange juice. Today, Tang still exists, but fresh orange juice and other fruit beverages have become more common and preferred. The memory of Tang orange drink is a reminder of simplicity, frugality, and even small joys in childhood. If this video has brought back beautiful memories or valuable lessons for you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to continue our nostalgic journeys into the past. And don't forget to share your own story in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your childhood memories.